naweka kwenye ndude. Nikishaweka kwenye ndude, waga tukiwa tunachoma, waga mamdogo ananishauri kwamba ukaage mbali kidogo, mercury inaweza ikakuasili kwenye kifua. Lakini mimi waga na kuaga mbishi, nasema mbona mimi siugui.
Mercury is really one of the most toxic threats to human health. Around the world, 10 to 15 million people regularly use mercury in the process of gold extraction. Governments are coming together in Japan to adopt the international Minamata Convention on mercury. This is really a groundbreaking moment for addressing the threat to health that comes from mercury. The Minamata Convention lays out a number of different obligations for governments to reducing mercury in small-scale gold mining and in several other important sectors as well. Minamata is actually a small Japanese town where there was one of the worst mercury poisoning disasters in history. In the 1950s and 60s, there was a fertilizer company that put its wastewater straight into the bay. People were eating a lot of fish, and the fish was getting contaminated with mercury. And as a result of that, people started to have strange symptoms, shaking and seizures. At least 1,700 people died, and many children were born with disabilities. Mercury is one of the most toxic substances on Earth, and it's particularly harmful for children.
Kama unakamatisha na yenyewe inarukaruka, na pale unapochoma dhahabu na ule mercury unapochoma upepo ule ikuingia tu mdomoni makosa, unasijui unaugua kifua.
Kunifundisha mercury amna ule moshi wake ukakuzuru, ukasikia kizunguzungu.
So mercury is used by miners around the world in the process of gold extraction. They mix a small portion of mercury into the ground-up ore that looks like sand to a layperson. And they mix that with their bare hands. Mercury basically attracts the gold particles in this ore. And what remains is a small ball that holds the mercury and the gold together. And once they have that, they burn that remaining gold-mercury amalgam, usually over an open fire. And in that process, the mercury becomes a poisonous gas, which is then inhaled by these men, women, and children that work with it.
The consequences are that brain is damaged, and the children will develop symptoms like tremor or coordination problems. And when a brain is damaged, it does not recover completely again. So even if you stop the exposure of these children, the symptoms they have, the brain damage they have, will stay there for the rest of their life.
We have dozens of cases of mercury poisoning. They are out of touch, and they stare blankly on the wall. You cannot talk to them. They are not conversant. Nothing. They are like zombies.
The mercury that's being used in small-scale gold mining affects the communities that live there, but it also affects many people around the globe. That mercury gets released into the soil, into the water, and into the air. Human Rights Watch calls upon governments around the world to sign, ratify, and implement the Minamata Convention on mercury. Specifically, prevent the use of mercury by children and women of childbearing age. Strengthen training for healthcare workers so they are really able to test and also ultimately treat mercury poisoning. In addition, governments are also obliged to seek alternatives to mercury and ultimately phase mercury out. So really, Minamata is a reminder to say never again. We really have to protect people from mercury.